Secrets Revealed, a radio drama about child sexual abuse. It contains subject matter that may be triggering for survivors. Discretion is advised.
We have no idea what things hidden in the dark may come to light. Many children have faced immeasurable cruelty with no ally. No one to come to their aid. No one to ask a simple question like, what's wrong? Or is everything okay? These children, having found no one to stand up for them, feel guilt and shame. Then there are others.
Oh, this is my scene.
When my mother thinks, oh, she gonna beat your ass. What are you talking about? I said your shirt doesn't fit. And then you touch me. You think it's because I'm quick you can make your move? That was a mistake. Yeah, it was a mistake. Better mistakes you always make. I hear the other girls talking about you. You don't know who you're playing with, lady. My mother is a woman studies professor at UVA.
What is going on here?
Nothing. She's just upset because you don't speak for me. She touched my breast when she was so-called helping me with my shirt. It was deliberate. Then she tries to gaslight me and say I made a mistake. My mother told me all about this kind of thing.
Okay, Tina, come into my office. We'll get your mother on the phone. Copen, don't go anywhere.
I have another engagement.
Not at this moment, you don't. Call and tell them you will be late, at least an hour.
Now this makes me happy. I am beside myself with joy. Do you see the difference? This child is 15 and called out the behavior as soon as it happened. She has a mother who talked to her about sexual assault, including the fact that women can be perpetrators too. Most importantly, Tina is confident that her mother will believe her.
Thank you for listening to Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed. If you are sexually abused, please dial 911 in an emergency or call the Women's Coalition at 340-773-9272 to find out how you can end child sexual abuse.
Oh, all right. Is that us or is that it is us? Hi. Well, hi. Welcome to the after show. Can I help you? It's nice to have you call in. Hello? Hello not. All right, so welcome to the after show. Okay, and we're having some technical difficulties. I'll explain it in a minute. Welcome to the after show. Let's talk about it, a live call-in talk show to continue discussing the weekly episodes of Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed, a radio drama about child sexual abuse presented by the Women's Coalition of St. Croix. The stories are fiction based on fact. I'm your host, Shalene Gums, and with us today we have Darlene Springer, the Outreach Specialist for DVSAC. The number to call in is 773-3636, 773-FM-FM. We are having problems, technical difficulties with our live. So if you are not seeing things the way you're accustomed to seeing it, that may be part of the problem. Hi, can we help you? I sound like I'm in the office. Hi, welcome to Silence Speaks. Can I help you? Hi? Can you hear me? Are the networks down again? All right. Okay, so the number to call in is 773-3636. I think we're having more than one technical difficulty. That's 773-FM-FM. If you would like to send a question or comment because you're not comfortable with your voice being on air, or would like to remain anonymous, please send us a private message on Facebook at m.me/WCSTX. That's m.me/WCSTX. And so, we are very, 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 very happy to have Darlene Springer with us today. Darlene is amazing. Everybody that's in school district, school age knows Miss Springer, because Miss Springer has been doing this for quite a while. So we're going to let her tell you a little bit about herself first, and then we're going to get into some questions with her. If you need to call back, try and call back. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the phones or with the live. I think we got the live right now. So we're on Facebook Lives as well on the WCSTX page. So Darlene, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Hi, good afternoon, listening audience. My name is Darlene Springer. I'm the Community Outreach Specialist for the island of St. Croix, where I actually do a lot of presentations and outreach in the community. I'm really in the schools. Prevention education is what I focus on. I don't really want to say prevention because when a lot of people hear the word prevention, they get scared. So I want to say awareness.
Okay.
It's just to bring awareness of the issues that's happening here in the Virgin Islands. I've been doing it for 12 years. I start actually from the Head Start, go up to the high school sometimes, and even UVI. Though even doing adults training sometimes with the Women's Coalition with Ms. Clever Lewis, which is the director of the Women's Coalition.
All right. So, and I know that, I mean, like Darlene and I have done presentations together. Everybody knows Miss Springer. I mean, she talks about all the things that everybody doesn't want to talk about to the age group that everybody needs to talk about it with. So we are really, really grateful that you came here. And she's coming from a different presentation, but that's her commitment. And we so appreciate her. So, the questions, and we call her D, so y'all know me. Everybody's familiar. Do the youth have a good idea of what sexual assault is now?
In the community, I think we still struggle with the word using sexual assault. A lot of the time, they actually know the word as rape more than sexual assault because there are titles under sexual assault. And when I actually start doing sexual assault, I have to actually go into definitions and the different type of sexual assault that could happen. For the little ones, we actually talked about the comfortable and uncomfortable touches, which we actually go into different examples of comfortable and what is an uncomfortable touch. And we also go into talking about what is your private part, the name of your private part, and the correct name, because up to now, we still have an issue teaching our children the correct name of their body part, which is their private parts.
Yeah.
So that's something I think we as a community that we have to actually work on and really teach our children about it, because a lot of the time the children are using the word that you are using.
Right, right. That just says that we as a grown folks don't use the correct words either. And we do need to change that, because if it does get to something that becomes illegal, we're going to have to be able to use the correct names. Part of how the system's set up. So, but I'm glad, and I know that you all have reached out, and the outreach workers kind of set the stage for a lot of the information that we get. In one case in particular, but we'll talk about that later. So what is the response of the youth when you have these discussions about rape, sexual assault, comfortable, uncomfortable touch? What is their response to you?
Well, let's talk about when it comes down to the age group, because there are different age groups that we actually go out there and do. With the little ones, of course, they're shy, they run, they hide, they giggle. But we're still having an issue when it comes down to teens and also high schoolers when we're talking about sexual assault in the schools. And that's an issue that we're having because of the fact that a lot of the time I actually have to be welcome to come into school. It's not something I can just walk into school and just talk about these issues. A lot of the time there are certain teachers or counselors might call me in if there's an incident.
Okay.
And I really don't want to be called because there's an incident that happened. I just want to be able to be coming into school and just bring awareness to the students about talking about these issues that's actually plaguing here in the Virgin Islands.
Yeah. And that's been a problem for a long time, right? Because there are certain schools that don't want to discuss it.
Yeah, they are. Most of the schools that I actually go and do presentation is mostly the public school. If they're a private school, not really. The sexual assault might be spoken, but mostly conflict resolution or bullying. That's something they might call me in to actually do. But when it comes down to a lot of the parochial school, they kind of shun away. So you have to actually have a different type of way to approach to actually come into school. I mean, if you go into the college school, I mean, they don't have a problem if you come and talk about abstinence. Because you're actually talking about sexual assault when you talk about abstinence too, because of your body's yours, and they really don't want you to use certain words there. So if you come in that kind of anger talking about abstinence, I think I'll be more welcome in to the private school, especially the Catholic schools.
Okay. All right. So what are the most prevalent issues that the youth bring up? Remember, it's a call-in show, people. 773-3636. What are the most prevalent issues? What is the biggest thing that the youth bring up when you discuss, when you even try to approach the topic?
Well, let's just say I don't think a lot of the time, even in the elementary school, don't know what is sexual harassment. That's one of the biggest issues that happens a lot of the time. With the touching, we're going to go as far as high school with the sexting, but let me just briefly talk about the sexual harassment in the elementary school. Our elementary school students don't even know what is sexual harassment. A lot of the time when I actually come and do the comfortable and uncomfortable touches presentation, I actually kind of like share off of that and talk about the boundaries of their body.
Right.
You understand? Because we have to let them know that what is important when it comes down when they're in the school aspect, that there are policies in place where someone could actually make someone feel uncomfortable, unsafe in school. And the two places where you're supposed to actually be comfortable and safe is actually supposed to be home and school. But those are the two most dangerous places where a lot of sexual assault happens.
Yeah.
When it comes down to the middle school, even we talk about the sexual harassment too, a lot of the time it's not something that's been actually said and talked about in the middle school. Most likely when it comes down to the high school now, it's a totally different situation, because what happens a lot of the time, it's more sexting than anything else. I have been doing this for like going on 12 years. Some of the students know me from elementary, and when I reach in the junior high, they'll be like, oh, I remember you, comfortable, uncomfortable touches, and which is good. But I also want them to understand that when I do come into the school, especially at the age of elementary, I want them to understand that I'm not coming in for that one day. You understand? I'm coming in for something that they have to understand. They have to respect each other for the rest of their life. So it's about that. It's not just doing a presentation in the schools and just like, oh, you got this presentation and you forget about it when you reach in junior high, or even when you reach high school, even as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. And so talking a little bit about this texting, how is technology affecting the way that our young people view sexual assault, rape, sexual harassment, uncomfortable touch, comfortable touch? How is technology affecting that, especially in terms of us doing presentations or us trying to reach out to them or explain in a way where we can tell them how this can happen?
Define what sexting is, too, for people.
Right. So, and you can go ahead then, Darlene, you can define what sexting is.
Let me just say when it comes down to technology, because like this is something that's big, that's happening. It's not just the teens. It's
across the board.
Yeah, it is across the board. But a lot of the time, when it comes down to sexting, and a lot of the time, not even just the high schoolers, but even elementary and the middle schools are doing it too. And a lot of the time, they don't know what sexting is, and they don't know how serious it is. Sexting is actually when you're taking picture at they're most likely to say that when you're taking pictures that when someone is naked, you know, or when someone is actually having sex with someone, also too, they define it as that. But the singlest form I want you to understand what sexting is, once you take a picture of yourself that's naked, most likely it is child pornography. You understand, which is something that's big that's happening. There's a couple incidents that's happening in the schools where a lot of it, most likely, it's females who's actually doing it, not so much the males. And a lot of the time, the females feel like it's okay. You know, they don't think nothing's wrong with it. You know, most likely they're sending it to their boyfriend or their friend or whatever, their partner, and they don't think it's nothing wrong with it, and which is it's a big issue that's happening, and they don't understand the effect that could happen for them for the rest of their life there. I mean, that's something that'll follow them for the rest of their life. There are a couple incidents that's actually going around right now in schools. Me and Ms. Gong just went into school, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. We went to high school, and we actually talked about what is sexting and what's happening. A lot of them listened, a lot of them was aware, and some of them wasn't aware, because I think Ms. Gong, she's very versed in sexting and technology and everything like that, and she actually break it down for a lot of them to understand how serious it is. And even though the fact that you might even lend your friend your phone and don't understand that you lend your friend your phone and someone took a picture or sent it to you, and that person got that picture, and they could even take a picture of that scenario and even have it on their phone. It's so serious. It's something that I don't think they take it. I think they're taking it for granted, because a lot of them think it's harmless.
Right.
and they think that it's not going to affect them, which it is going to affect them throughout their life. We have situations where there are students who actually right now, like let's say a couple of years ago, who actually did something when they was in junior high and then called one of the counselors and actually called her and crying and said she wished she never did take that picture when she was in middle schools. And right now she's trying to get a job, and it's still affecting her because it stays out there.
Right, it does.
I don't think a lot of them understand that when they
Once
take
it's
it
out.
or when they send it, that's it.
That's it.
It's nothing coming back from that.
Yeah.
Even though they delete it or whatever, it stays out there, and anybody can actually get it, and whatever they want to do with it, they can take your picture, they can Photoshop it, they can do whatever they want to do with it, and a lot of teens don't seem to understand, and they think they think a lot of them think it's innocent. You know what I mean? A lot of them are innocent of the situation and don't know too much about it.
Yeah. And so to talk a little bit about what she's talking about, and parents, please, if you're out there, anybody that's listening, even adult folks, taking pictures with your phone, if it's two consenting adults, then that's between two consenting adults. Here's the dangers of it though. We have this thing called revenge porn, and revenge porn is huge. It means that we're in a relationship, we happen to take consensual pictures, we break up, I decide to get back at you, I destroy your life by putting the pictures that were once consensual out into anything and everything, including Pornhub, the red pages. I mean, I got a list of pages that these things show up on. They have very, very intense cases where teenagers got caught in a party, pictures were taken, you know, they got to college or whatever the situation was, and all of a sudden all these people start coming around them because what happened? You got the person that you were with upset, you all broke up, and now they're flashing your pictures around with your dorm room address. People are coming thinking that you're volunteering to have sex with them, and a lot of people get hurt and a lot of people get raped. It's not just the pictures though, it's the connotations behind some of the texting that we sent that has sexual innuendos behind it, that has a sexual content to somebody that doesn't want it. If you try to make somebody feel or tell somebody you want to have sex with them, I mean, I can get very graphic, but I'm not going to. Not right now, we're too close to Christmas, but you know, you know, in a lot of the things and the way you describe things to somebody and you tell them, oh, I want to do this to you, or if I could just turn you up this way, or if I can just turn you over that way, and the person doesn't want to receive it, that's sexting, and sexting becomes harassment, and harassment becomes bullying, and then that leads into more and more criminal activities. And the more you do these things online, they don't disappear. And I think that's one of the things that when me and Darlene do the presentation, a lot of them figure because Snapchat says that it's disappeared, that it's gone. Anybody that really has good knowledge of a computer, a telephone, or anything that you put out, regardless of whether or not it's in the cloud, everybody can retrieve from the cloud if they know how. Everybody can retrieve from your phone if they know how. And if the picture comes to me, it's mine. So I can do what I want with it. If I get caught with it, I can also go to jail for it. And that's the big thing. You know what I mean? And when we come back in the new year, we're going to have HSI come in and talk about what kind of a federal crime, because anything digital becomes a federal crime. It's not a local crime anymore. And so, you know, be careful with that. So a question that's not on here, but how can you encourage young people, like when you do your presentations, how do you encourage them to keep each other safe? You know, are there any things that you tell them in order, if one of them is going through a situation, to help, you know, like buddy system or whatsoever, for them to be able to tell somebody that something's happening to them?
Well, a lot of the time, there's a lot of students who reveal a situation that actually happened to them, and while I do the presentation, and the first thing I have to let them also know that I'm not a counselor. I let them know, but there's so much situation where a lot of students have been actually abused from a very young age. Going in there and doing the presentation, when I'm doing the presentation, a lot of them come up and confront me about the situation that was actually what happened to them. A lot of the time, I tell them that if they need someone to talk, they can call the Women's Coalition. It's a situation like that. But let me just go back a little bit, because I think it's something that we're missing, that we don't talk to a lot of our teens. A lot of the time, we don't talk to our teens what the word consent means.
Right.
When it comes down to sexual assault. Because when you're going into the presentation, you ask what does consent mean. A lot of they turn around and watch each other. So I have to actually say, what about what if your mom give you, your teacher give you a permission slip to carry home so you can go on a trip? What does that mean? So, to give permission. So I have to go in that sense of, yeah, that's giving someone permission. A lot of time they don't understand what consent when it comes down to, okay, if I give a person a permission, can that person still have sex with me? I said, well, it's up to you and that person, and you got to think about the law also too. Because there are a lot of teenagers who are consenting, consensually, you understand, and a lot of the time they don't understand that, okay, if I consent and he consent, is it still rape? And a lot of the time they say, well, it's the both of you consent, yeah, but you also got to look at the law, what the law said.
Right.
So the law actually kind of, when I actually read and tell them about the law, a lot of the teens got confused about the law. Because one part of the law said you can be 16 and have a partner that's 21, no more than 21, older. And then the other part of the law said you have to be 18. So guess what? When they hear the part that you could be 16 and have a partner no younger than, no older than 21, they get happy. So I could be with someone. I say, yeah, but I want you to pay attention to this part of the law, which said you have to be 18 years to consent to have sex here in the Virgin Islands.
Right.
A lot of teens don't know there's a law to consent to have sex here in the Virgin Islands. So some of the questions they asked me, I didn't know we have to ask permission. I didn't know there's a law to have sex. I thought we could have sex anytime. I said, yeah, there is a law. And the law there is actually to protect you. That's what the law is there to put there to protect you guys. That's what one you don't understand. So you cannot have sex if you want to have sex. You have to make sure that when you do have sex, that the both of you consent. You understand that not only that, but you're ready to have sex.
You're old enough?
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, we're running out of time as usual. So I'm going to ask you, well, one more thing. If you are under the age of 16, you cannot consent. It's against the law. If you are 13 and under, nobody can consent for you. Even though there are things on the books that we're trying to get changed still, that says that if you're a certain age and your parents agree to it, they can marry you to the person that is raping you, because that's what it is at that point. I mean, we're going to just call a spade a spade. And so what that does is stop the perpetrator from going to jail. That does not mean that it's not rape. And so we can fight that in different ways, because at that point, the child is no longer responsible for their own actions. Somebody else is giving permission for the person to rape them. We are not okay with that. That is not okay. But the law says that you cannot consent if you're under 16. Period. End of story. So all these young people that you think are hot and having sex, no, somebody raped them. That's how they got introduced to it. Whether it be touching, pictures, the verbiage, or the words that they use, any of those things, they got exposed to it. So they are already a victim before they started having the act. After the act becomes the act, then it's even more of a rape, statutory and otherwise. And we'll talk about that in the new year. But please understand that it's not okay. It is not okay. So the universal question before we do the closeout: if you had one wish for the community when it came to a solution to this problem, what would it be?
Let me see. Stemming because of the fact that I do a presentation for such a young group and starting at preschool. I wish parents would just sit down and actually talk to their children, and that's my wish. And actually sit down and talk to the children about what their body parts, where someone's not supposed to be touching. I also want them to understand that they need to let their children know the correct name of their body part, which is so important, and not to be ashamed of it, because a lot of the time when I do presentation, they're ashamed to talk about it. What is their private part, and they think it's nasty. They think it's a bad word.
They heard that.
You understand? And and most of the time, because of the fact of what the parents tell them, you understand, they call it all these different type of names. That's why they're so intimidated, and that's the reason why they don't want to call the name, because some of them do know the name, but they think if they say the name, they think it's a bad word. You understand? So a lot of the time they use other words to actually. So that's my wish, is for parents to actually just teach their children the correct name of the, and talk about their body, how it's important for no one to touch them, how it's so important for if anyone ever tried to touch them, to let somebody know, you understand? And also for parents who out there who have been touched, you understand? I also want them to know that this is something that they have to go out there and try and get help if it happened to them at a very young age also too. Because it not only just affected them, but sometimes it affected children.
Yes.
Because of the situation that happened to them. So that's something that they have to do.
Yeah. And there you have it. So teach them the correct body parts. Okay, and let's backtrack. Parents, if you don't know the real body parts, get to know the real body parts and become familiar with the body parts. The reason why I say that is a lot of times we don't refer to it that way even as adults. You know, we'll be quick to say, you know, somebody's tits, somebody's pussy, somebody's dick, but we're not going to say penis and breast and vagina. You know what I mean? But we need to get accustomed to saying the right words. And understand that the reason why those words came in was because it was supposed to entice seduction and encourage rape. That's pretty much what it was for. And so we still use those words, not thinking that that's actually what it was for. And so if we use the correct names, this Darlene's wish for everybody has a wish. So Darlene's wish, if we could use the correct names, then we can have the conversation. And let's not make sex taboo. Let's not make rape taboo. Let's talk about it. That's the whole point. So Darlene, thank you so much, because we are going to run out of time.
Thank you.
We are going to, Darlene, thank you so much for coming in, and thank you for the work that you do in the community, especially with the little people, because you know that's the little people, with not only prevention and awareness, but also the education that you give them. You know, and thank you for being the stand-in. I'll never forget when the outreach workers did that one case, and we found out about nearly 100 victims by one teacher. So I really, really appreciate it. So, thank you for tuning in.
Holiday schedule.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to Silence Speak Secrets Reveal and the after show. Let's talk about it. This program is funded by a grant from RALIANCE. It's a collaborative effort to end sexual violence in one generation, made possible through a commitment from the National Football League, the NFL. Its contents are solely the responsibility of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official view of the NFL, though it should. Since next week Tuesday will be Christmas, and the following Tuesday will be New Year's, we won't be having the after show. Let's talk about it. The new episodes will air on Tuesday at 5:30, but there will be no after show. When we come back in January, we will have discussions about the episodes that we missed. Though we are not going to be here on the show, our offices will be closed December 25th and December 26th and January 1st and January 4th. We will still have our advocate service and are available to you 24/7 if you need help, so call us at the 773-9272 number. In this time when people are around a lot of other people, that presents opportunities for some people to hurt other people. Pay attention to your children, especially during the festivities when they get to run off and go to Coney Island and they're exposed to a whole lot of freedom. Please pay attention to your children. Figure out the pass by every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes, so that you're aware of where your children are when they're out. We don't want anybody else getting hurt during the season, because that would totally destroy Christmas for a lot of people. Remember to stay safe. Take care of each other. If you see something, say something and do something. It doesn't just have to be your child, anybody at all. Let's keep each other safe. So from Clemma Lewis, the Executive Director, the staff at the Women's Coalition, and the SSSR crew, that would be Deb, Vaughn, and Carrie, and me, we wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy Holidays, and thank you, Troy. We're glad to have you back.
All right, and thank you for stopping in again, and you got the vacation dates, mark them down, and they'll be back after the new year to continue. And we got more music on the way as we get into the 6 o'clock hour now. It's number 1 on 95.